The sun had just begun to rise when Emily sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her worn-out shoes. They were the same shoes she wore every morning to work. The fabric was torn near the laces, and the sole was thinning, but she didn't mind. What she minded was the heaviness in her chest, the weight of exhaustion that never seemed to leave. She whispered to herself, "Why do I feel this way? Am I weak? Am I broken?" For weeks, Emily had been waking up tired, not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, but the kind of tired that seeps into your bones, into your heart. Life had been throwing challenge after challenge at her. A demanding job, bills that never seemed to stop, dreams she had put on the shelf years ago, friends she barely had time to see. She thought she was failing. She thought she was not strong enough. She thought she was broken. But life was about to show her something different. One cold evening, Emily decided to walk home instead of taking the bus. She needed air, space, and a moment of silence from the noise in her head. Halfway through the park, she saw an old man sitting on a wooden bench, feeding crumbs to the birds. His clothes were simple, but his eyes carried a softness she hadn't seen in a long time. "Long day?" he asked without even looking at her. Emily hesitated. "Yes, very long." "You look like someone carrying a heavy load," the old man said gently. Emily almost laughed at the truth of it. "You could say that. Some days I feel like I can't keep going. Like maybe I'm broken." The old man smiled. "Ah, that word. Broken. People like to use it when they are tired, but you're not broken, my dear. You're human." She frowned. "But I feel so worn out, like a cracked vase ready to shatter." He threw another handful of crumbs for the birds. A cracked vase can still hold flowers. A tired soul can still hold dreams. Being tired does not mean you're broken. It means you've been strong for too long, without a pause. His words sank deep into her heart. She sat down next to him. "The story of the tree. Let me tell you a story," the old man continued. "There was once a strong tree that grew on a hill. Its roots were deep, its branches wide, and it gave shade to everyone who came near. But one summer, there was no rain. The tree grew tired. Its leaves began to droop. People walked by and whispered, 'The tree is dying. It's weak now.' But the tree was not dying. It was resting. It was gathering strength in its roots. It was waiting for rain. When the rains finally came, the tree bloomed again, taller, greener, stronger than ever before. Remember this, tiredness is not the same as weakness. Resting is not the same as quitting. Even the strongest tree bends in the wind, but it does not break." Emily closed her eyes. She could almost see the tree he was describing. She thought about her own life, how she had been, standing tall for everyone else, giving shade, giving support, but never letting herself rest. "You're saying," she whispered, "I just need to give myself a break?" "Yes," the old man nodded. "You need to give yourself permission to pause, to breathe, to heal. You're not broken, you're just tired, and tiredness passes." That night, Emily went home and sat quietly at her window. She looked out at the city lights and remembered the old man's words. For the first time in months, she didn't see her exhaustion as a sign of weakness. She saw it as a sign of effort, proof that she had been fighting, trying, and showing up every day even when it was hard. She whispered to herself, "I'm not broken. I'm human. I'm allowed to be tired." And something shifted inside her. Instead of forcing herself to push harder the next morning, she allowed herself a small kindness. She took a slower walk to work. She made herself a warm cup of tea and actually tasted it. She left work on time. She said no to something she didn't have energy for. It didn't fix everything overnight. The bills were still there. The job was still demanding. But Emily began to see herself differently. She began to see her tiredness, not as an ending, but as a sign that she needed to refill her cup. Weeks later, Emily wrote herself a letter. "Dear me, You've been so strong for so long. You've carried so much. And even though you feel tired, that does not make you weak. It makes you brave. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to take a pause. You are allowed to heal. You are not broken. Love me. She put the letter in a small envelope and kept it in her wallet. Every time the exhaustion crept back in, she would take it out and read it. It became a small ritual, a reminder that tiredness is temporary, but resilience is permanent. Something beautiful happened. Emily's new way of seeing herself began to change how she treated others. When a co-worker looked exhausted, she didn't assume they were lazy. She offered them kindness. When a friend called crying, Emily didn't tell them to just get over it. She listened. She began to understand that everyone around her was fighting silent battles, carrying heavy loads. She became a source of comfort, not because she had everything figured out, but because she had learned that tiredness doesn't equal brokenness. And slowly, Emily started to dream again. The dream she'd put on the shelf years ago began to return. Small steps at first, taking a class she had always wanted to take, writing in a journal, saving for a trip she had promised herself. Her life didn't become magically perfect, but she was learning to live from a place of compassion for herself and for others. One evening, months after that day in the park, Emily returned to the bench to see if the old man was there. He wasn't. Only the birds were there, pecking at the ground where crumbs had once been. But in her heart, she heard his voice. You're not broken. You're just tired. And tiredness passes. She smiled softly, feeling the truth of those words. She realized that she had grown stronger, not because she had powered through her exhaustion, but because she had allowed herself to rest and heal. Maybe you too feel tired right now. Maybe life has been heavy and you've been carrying more than anyone realizes. Maybe you've started to think you're broken because you can't seem to keep up. But just like Emily, you are not broken. You are human. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to rest. Being tired is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that you've been brave, that you've been showing up. And just like the tree on the hill, you will bloom again. You will rise again. Take a deep breath right now. Let these words sink in. You're not broken just because you're tired. You are still whole. You are still worthy. You are still strong. And one day soon, when the rain comes, you will stand taller and greener than ever before. Away, being tired does not mean you failed. It means you've been trying. It means you're human. And being human is messy, beautiful, and brave. Allow yourself the gift of rest, the grace of self-kindness, and the patience to heal. You are not broken. You are becoming.